Hi, and welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Senapataratna. Grab your favorite drink and a snack, and we will get started. Today, I have a bowl of strawberries, because why not? And I have English breakfast tea. So let's get real. So, I've talked many times before about how we love to travel. It is something that is really important to us. We absolutely love it. And we went out east about a month ago or a little bit longer, not real sure at this point. And we went out east as a family to speak at some churches, which is a perfect way to travel because not only do you get to do what you love, travel, you also get to do the other thing you love, and that is minister and speak to people. It is so amazing. It was a fabulous time. Absolutely loved the churches, met some fabulous people. Kind of think I might have made some lifelong friends that I just fell in love with the pastor's wives. Anyway, so we're out on this trip, and for those of you that go on trips and don't worry about money, I want you to tell me how you do that. Anyway, I am so super uber conscious of how we spend our money and what we do. And we eat a lot at gas stations. We eat a lot at fast food restaurants, which are none of my favorite things. And my husband and daughter love, love, love the things that they know. When we leave home, they like to have the things that they know. So, trying new things is not really their jam. And that's okay. It's really something that I love. And I realized on this 11-day trip that my husband had consciously made a decision to try new things as often as he could, and get us to new restaurants. And I so appreciated it. It was just such a freeing moment. But we flew into Philadelphia, which absolutely love Philadelphia. It is a fun city. We're just not really the coolest people on the planet. Like, we don't see all the cool stuff other people see. We're just kind of like, where are the gift shops? That's kind of, just my simple things. So we went to Philly, and I realized that he was trying new things because he's like, let's just go and see what they have. And I'm like, that's not normal. We normally like, where are the restaurants that we know, and that's where we'll go visit, and those kind of pieces. And so we tried some new foods. Sam had her first Philly cheesesteak since she was 4. She was not as impressed as I am. That's okay. So then we ended up in Washington, D.C., which was an amazing, amazing time. We actually ended up walking and walking and walking, and that's something that I'm okay with, but I'm not as fast as my daughter and as my husband. They are like Speedy Gonzalez's, and I'm still back at the Washington Monument. So we had to like pace ourselves, and it rained, and I was wet, and it was dark, and we had seen the sights we wanted to see that day, and in fact, many more sights than I really even wanted to see. Because it's all walking. So we're walking along the path, and my feet hurt. And I know we are still at least a half a mile away from our hotel. And I am feeling very, very discouraged. I'm like, I know how far the hotel is from here because we came this direction on the way back. It's dark and you're wet. I was really wet. Like, my husband and daughter, I don't know if they got under some trees or something, but they looked like there was a sprinkling, and I had like a downpour. Like, my hair was stuck to my head. All of my clothes were wet. My feet were sopping wet. It was just a complete and utter mess. And I'm like, this is day 1. Like, we haven't even really started this trip. We had just finished speaking the day before at a church. And so I'm like, we've just started this trip, and I am ready to collapse in the middle of DC. My daughter was like, should we call an Uber? Like, it was kind of a mess. So I don't know if you know much about DC, but we were walking down away from the Washington Monument, and the sun was setting, and it turned on. And so the Washington Monument's behind us. The White House is down. You can see the White House lit up. And we're walking through like the National Mall, and it's just what it is just all grass. And all of the grass started, and it lit up with fireflies. And it was just one of the most beautiful moments I think I've ever seen. I just, really bizarre, but like it looked like someone had taken twinkle lights, thousands of them, and just covered the grass with them. And so it was like a whole symphony of fireflies in front of us with the national monuments lit up behind us. And I remember in that moment going, Lord, thank you. Like, I cannot believe that I'm standing here right now. I was so humbled. And we actually stopped. I think I stopped because I couldn't go any further, but we took a moment and stopped for a minute, and I was just stood there going, Lord, thank you. I am in the middle of probably some of the worst pain I've had other than kidney stones. My legs are throbbing. All of a sudden you're like, I didn't know I had a muscle there. Those kind of moments. And I look around and I see God's glory. And I see that he brought me here for such a time as this. Now, I realize that you take that Bible verse, and that's probably not the way to use it. But for me, it was a moment that I really felt like God saw me. And so I wanted to come on today and just share this really simple story that I was really miserable. I wish because even when we walked up the Lincoln Memorial, I had my husband help me up because my feet were just like, I thought the last thing we need is a YouTube video of me sliding down the Lincoln Monument because the marble was all wet and I am not that sturdy on my feet. And I thought this is going to be a disaster. I mean, it was taking moments. And so sometimes in our lives, what I was reminded of that day, you are walking through something that is really hard and it is really stressful and it can almost be overwhelming. But if you don't stop in the middle of those and see God's working and God's hand in it, like I stopped and looked at the fireflies, even though I knew if I stopped, I may not be able to move forward. Like, was my body going to physically move again? I wasn't 100% sure. But I knew that in the midst of this pain, God was still there. And I talk a lot about that. I talk a lot about how I know that you're going through things in life and you don't necessarily see him. But then there are moments where he sends the fireflies and he shows you his goodness and his love in something so simple as a lit up bug that I don't quite know how they work, and I don't know why they work, and I don't know why they were there that night. But I do know that they were there to show me that God loved me and that he had a plan for me to get back to that hotel room. And we did get back. And long story short, the next morning we were supposed to walk 2 miles from our hotel to somewhere. And my husband was like, you know what? We're going to get a $10 taxi, which we did. The taxi drove us there. And then we walked 3 miles later that day, which was great. But he was like, let's just take the morning and take the $10 taxi. And I was like, Lord, thank you. Even for that taxi, like I wanted to kind of hug and kiss the taxi driver. And he was like, you are really weird. And I'm like, yes, I know. But so no matter what you're going through this year, no matter what you're going through right now, I want you to not lose focus on seeing the moments that God puts before you, seeing the places that God is working, even in the midst of your pain. It's so easy. It would have been for me so easy just to go, you know what, come on, let's keep moving, people. If we stop, we do not have time for fireflies. We do not have time to turn around and look up at the national monuments lit up. We do not have time for that. My body is giving out. Like, let's move. My feet hurt. I'm cranky. I'm tired. My phone is dead. I can't take pictures of this anyway. Which is very true. It was. Like, let's just keep moving. And we can get like that in life. We can get like, I'm just going to push through. I'm just going to push through. There's got to be something at the end of the tunnel. And sometimes God sends those moments and those quiet times in your life, whether it's in the car. I always, it's so bizarre. I'm a bizarre person, I know. But I always, on a bad day, know that God's going to give me a good parking spot. It's really weird. It is, and every time I get a good parking spot, I remember of God's love for my life. And it could be that simple, that you're looking for God's work in your life. And when you're in the midst of a hard time and finances are tight and relationships are falling apart and your boss is on your back, and I mean, I could go on and on about the things you're struggling with right now. Sometimes it's just that simple. Sometimes it's the lit up bugs. Sometimes it's the good parking spot. Sometimes it's the perfect cup of tea. That you see God giving you a glimpse of what life will be like as you walk through this. And that His love is still there no matter what's happening. Well, that is all I have for this week. It is a really short week, but I just wanted you to remember God's love for you and for what you're going through. He sees you. He sees what's happening. He is walking with you through this. And sometimes you just need to look up and see what He's doing and know that He has got a plan for you and that you're going to get through this. And it's not easy. And there's going to be a lot of tears and a lot of heartache sometimes, but God loves you. Well, I pray that as you give things over to the Lord and start seeking and looking for those moments, start spending some time finding those moments. We can get so focused on the craziness of life and the bad things that are happening that sometimes you miss the good things that God's doing. And sometimes you have to look really, really hard. I remember many, many days I'm like, Lord, I know there was something good in this day. Right? Was there something good in this day? There's got to be something good, Lord. I pray that you can find those. I pray that they would get bigger in your life and that you would be able to see those things. Well, you can find us at Real Life with Jenny on Instagram and on Facebook. You can also find us at christconnection.cc/Jen. All of my information is there. Thank you so much for listening, for rating this, for subscribing, all those fabulous things, and including sharing with your friends and family. I really appreciate it. Those of you that have reached out, love you, praying for you. I just really appreciate you listening to Real Life with Jenny week by week or once a month, whatever works for you. But this week, I am challenging you to spend some time, no matter how bad life is, every day looking for one thing, one good thing God did, even if it's as simple as a good parking spot at Target. Have a blessed day.